Good morning, one and all present here. I, Ansari Shahid, founder and leader of Physiopulse Group, jointly with late Srimati S.G. Patel Institute of Physiotherapy, Dharmaj, welcomes you all for the first webinar on the topic Basic Life Support, also known as
Good morning, one and
BLS.
all present here.
Physiopulse was founded on July 21, 2020 in accordance to provide useful information in form of notes, PDFs of the books, daily quizzes, and much more. We also have conducted one quiz competition for all the students of physiotherapy as we got a good response on our daily quiz. Moving ahead, I would like to call Dr. Sneha Bhatia Madam, Principal in charge of late Srimati S.G. Patel Institute of Physiotherapy to say a few words. Sneha Madam.
Yeah. So, good morning to all the participants and a warm welcome to each one of you. This event today is organized by Physiopulse Group and in association with late Srimati S.G. Patel Institute of Physiotherapy, Dharmaj, Gujarat. Our college has an excellent foundation since its inception in 2015. Many of our students have opted for master's degree in various colleges. The batch which has just passed out from our college, and we have dedicated and hardworking faculty at our institute who are always aiming for bright and successful career of our students. I can proudly say that our students have also bagged university ranks in the examination that is being conducted by SP University, that is Sardar Patel University, Vallabh Vidyanagar. And during the pandemic, we have conducted many webinars. We have organized many webinars for the benefit of our students, and we are daily taking online lectures. And today, it is a matter of great pride that our students from the batch of 2017 and 18 have formed an online platform named PhysioPulse, where they are making an effort to spread the knowledge about physiotherapy. So PhysioPulse group is formed by Ansari Shahid, our final year student, and team. Along with Shahid Ansari, there is Ria, Jay, Divyajit, and Shreya, who are handling the group of PhysioPulse on Instagram as well as on WhatsApp. So I wish all the very best to PhysioPulse for today's event and for the future events to come. So again, a warm welcome to all of you, and I'm sure that you will learn a lot after the end of this webinar. So, Shahid, you can continue now.
Thank you, madam, for mentioning my group and also my whole team who are actually working for the greater well-being of all the students who are greatly affected by this pandemic. Today's webinar topic is basic life support. Now, I would like to introduce our today's webinar speaker, Dr. Arpita S. Vagela. She is MPT in cardiopulmonary conditions. She has also completed the course of BLS, that is Basic Life Support, and ACLS, that is Advanced Cardiovascular Life Support. She is also an assistant professor at Srimati S.G. Patel Institute of Physiotherapy, Dharmaj. I would like now to welcome Dr. Arpita Vagela for introducing today's topic and begin the webinar. Arpita madam, please.
Yes. First of all, thank you so much to all for giving me this opportunity to my knowledge I can give you. So, good morning, all of you. As we have conducted today webinar on basic life support. Okay, so that is BLS. Okay, so now I am going to start about BLS, that is basic life support. So I hope you will listen carefully. You will I will explain to you with my best of knowledge. Okay, so now I am going to start. So BLS, that is basic life support. Okay, and it is also considered as first aid for cardiac arrest. Okay, it is also considered as first aid for cardiac arrest. Okay, same like other conditions. For example, some diseases are there, some conditions are there. Okay, so for that conditions, few first aid will be there. Okay, so first aid means what? Okay, when initial treatment, first treatment. Okay, so it will prevent the further damage to the body. It will prevent the further damage to the body. Okay, so same thing here for cardiac arrest patient. First aid is, that is basic life support. Okay, so now this webinar, this basic life support, I am going to tell you, I am going to teach you. It is based on uh, American Heart Association, and it is from the 2015 guidelines. Okay, it is from the 2015 guidelines. So now what is BLS? Okay, BLS. So it is a life-saving medical procedure. It is a life-saving medical procedure which involves CPR. Okay, CPR, that means cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Now what is resuscitation? So it will restart the heart. It will restart the heart function. Now you know, I said that is cardiac arrest. Okay, what is cardiac arrest? So it is stopping of the heart beating. Okay, heart will stop beating. That is known as cardiac arrest. So here, when heart is going to stop, heart is going to stop its function, that time we have to restart the function. Okay, how? In which way? So this is called cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Okay, so BLS includes maintaining airway and supporting breathing and circulation. Okay, what is the function, what is the main role of BLS? Okay, so it will do maintaining of airway and supporting breathing and circulation without any help of equipment, without help of any equipment. Okay, so that means manually we have to perform. Okay, if we know about the method how to perform, then you will save many lives. You can save many patients who are suffering from cardiac arrest. Okay, so now we are going to see about cardiac arrest. So it may occur anytime to anyone. Okay, so cardiac arrest remains a substantial public health problem and leading cause of death in many parts of world. So many victims of sudden cardiac arrest can survive if bystanders act immediately. Okay, surrounding people, for example, in hospital, or else in some institute, or else on road. Okay, whenever if patient gets cardiac arrest, but if surrounding people of them, they will act immediately, then we can save the life of that patient. Okay, so if resuscitation begins within a few minutes, okay, many of these individuals have a chance for survival. Okay, so within initially, whenever we will act immediately, so it will make more chances for the patient to survive. Okay, so now what can be the causes? Cardiac arrest, how it comes, and what are the causes, what can cause the cardiac arrest? Okay, so mainly heart disease. If person is suffering from any heart disease, okay, heart failure or else ischemic heart disease. Okay, so this kind of heart disease will be there. That time there are chances to develop cardiac arrest. Okay, patient may get cardiac arrest in any time. Then next thing, that is respiratory arrest. Okay, simple. If heart is functioning properly, that means lungs is also functioning properly. But if lungs is not working properly, then it also affect the heart. Okay, so if heart is functioning but respiratory arrest will be there, then also it will cause cardiac arrest. Then third point is there for cause, that is medical emergency. So you know, medical emergency, for example, in hospitals, during any operation, during any surgery, and we can say about that open heart surgery, major surgeries. Okay, simple, I am giving example that is about open heart surgery. Okay, so during open heart surgery, as you know, the patient will be connected to the heart lung bypass machine. Okay, so that time whole heart function is done by that machine. Okay, so during this phase, during operation, there are many chances to develop cardiac arrest. Patient may get cardiac arrest mainly during major surgeries. Okay, so this is also one of the cause we will consider as one cause, that is medical emergency. Now next one, that is drowning and suffocation. Drowning and suffocation. Now you know, if person will submerge into the water, Okay, in sea, okay, for example, in sea, sometimes we have seen that is a person is going to swim into swimming pool. Okay, so, and if it is not properly going, okay, in prolonged time, for prolonged time of period, if he is submerging his head, that means nose and lips both, mouth and nose, so that time also person may get a difficulty in breathing, and person may get may unable to breathe. So in these cases also sometimes cardiac arrest occur. Okay, and this require BLS, that means cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Then other causes there, that is about congenital heart disease. Okay, congenital heart disease. So in this cases also there may chance to create to develop the cardiac arrest. And last one, that is trauma. Okay, trauma, if trauma is if any accident occurs, that time trauma, that means major injuries to the body parts, so this also can lead to cardiac arrest. Okay, so these are the causes, you can say these are the things which can cause cardiac arrest. Okay, so cardiac arrest, this is causing the cardiac arrest. So now for cardiac arrest we are going to see what to do for us, what we can do for cardiac arrest patient. One more thing, this BLS, that is basic life support, it is most important for medical person as well as for non-medical person. Okay, because see, I said cardiac arrest may occur at any time. Okay, so if it is occurring outside the hospital, okay, but if non-medical person is also knowing about this, so he can prevent the further damage to the patient. Okay, so now we are going to further going about BLS. So I am giving you overview for BLS. So BLS mainly made up of four parts. There are mainly four parts of BLS. Okay, so in that first one, that is chest compression. Second one, that is airway. Okay, that means we have to open the airway of the patient. Now third one, that is breathing. And fourth one, that is defibrillation. Okay, chest compression, we are going to perform chest compression, that I will explain you. Then airway opening, how to open the airway, that also. Then breathing, how to give breathe, artificial breathing. And fourth one, that is defibrillation. Okay, heart function, we are going to perform, we are going to regain the heart function. Okay, so for that purpose we have to defibrillate the heart. Okay, so that is defibrillation. Okay, so now there are four main steps for performing BLS. There are mainly four steps to perform BLS or CPR. Okay, how will you resuscitate the patient? Okay, so for this method there are mainly four steps. Okay, so one by one we will learn all the steps. So first step is assessment and scene safety. Okay, assessment and scene safety. Second one, that is activate the emergency response system and get AED. Activate the emergency response system and get an AED. Third one is pulse check, we have to check the pulse. And fourth one, that is final step of BLS, okay, that is start CPR, chest compression, airway opening and breathing. Okay, so this is the final step, this is most important one. Now about first one, step one, what is saying? So first step, that is assessment and scene safety. Okay, so first for that, make sure the scene is safe for you and the victim. Okay, you are going to perform, you are going to save the patient. Okay, you are going to perform, and per patient, for both, scene should be safe. Okay, that means for example, if you are on road, okay, if you are on road, and that side one patient gets cardiac arrest, so on the middle of road you are, so you have to make the patient to side of that road. Okay, one another example I can give, that is if patient is nearer to the building where fire is there. Okay, so that time you have to go away from that place. So this thing you have to make sure. Okay, so make sure the scene is safe for you as well as for the victim. And one more thing, you do not want to become a victim yourself. Okay, you are able to do. Okay, so you do not want to become a victim yourself. So this is the main thing, scene safety. Okay, scene safety, that is scene for you and for victim, both for the same, For both, it will be same. It should be same. Now, how will you check? So first of all, you have to tap the victim's shoulder. You have to tap the victim's shoulder and shout, "Are you all right?" Okay, you will not, you will just see. But after seeing, what will you do? Okay, a person will not breathing properly. That means patient will do only gasping. That means if you see patient is having difficulty in breathing, patient is not properly breathing, patient is having difficulty in breathing, so that time what you can observe, that patient will do mouth breathing. Simply you can say person will fight for breathing. Okay, he is trying to pulling air inside, okay, through mouth. Okay, and he will move the head, this movement will be there. Okay, so on this way you can, this way you observe the patient. Okay, so that time you can tap the victim's shoulder and shout, "Are you all right?" You have to shout by tapping on shoulder. Okay, check to see if the victim is breathing. Okay, if a victim is not breathing or not breathing normally, okay, normal breathing is not there, but only gasping, that means mouth breathing. Okay, simply he will do like this. Okay, and you can see the movement of head neck. Okay, so patient will fight for breathing. Okay, so whenever you observe this thing, you have to activate the emergency response system. You must activate the emergency response system. Okay, so you can call the ambulance and all. Okay, so this was about the assessment and scene safety. Okay, now this was the first step you have to do. Now next step is activate the emergency response system. So as I said, if you are alone and find an unresponsive victim, which is not breathing, who is not breathing, so you have to shout for help. Okay, you will shout for help, nearby no one is responding, then you have to activate the emergency response system. Okay, and if available, you can get AED, that is automatic external defibrillator, you can get if available. If not available, then automatically directly you have to call emergency response system, and you have to start CPR directly. Okay, chest compression you have to start if there is no AED. So now third step, that is check pulse. Okay, so whenever you are starting CPR, okay, before giving chest compression, you have to check the pulse. First thing you observe, what did you observe? That is about the breathing. First thing you observe, patient is not breathing properly. Now you have to see what you have to observe, or you have to check. One thing you have to check, that is about pulse. So for pulse, you have to use carotid pulsation. Carotid pulse you have to check. So to perform a pulse check in the adult, palpate a carotid artery. Okay, you have to palpate the carotid artery at the side of the neck. Exact location for the carotid artery palpation. Okay, you have to use two fingers. You have to use two fingers. Okay, and 2 or 3 fingers you can put on the side of the neck, where, so between this trachea and the muscle. Okay, you can see here sternocleidomastoid muscle is there, and here is trachea. So between these two things, one groove is there. Okay, so you can palpate over here. You have to put 2 or 3 fingers, and you have to slide down. Okay, and you will feel the carotid pulsation. Okay, so to perform a pulse check in the adult, palpate a carotid artery using 2 or 3 fingers at the side of neck, where between the trachea and the muscle. Okay, you have to palpate there. Okay, now you have to palpate, and you have to feel the pulse for at least 5 seconds. At least for 5 seconds you have to feel pulse is there or not. Okay, but no more than 10 seconds. This thing you have to keep in mind. At least for 5 seconds, but no more than 10 seconds. Okay, if you do not definitely feel pulse, if you are not feeling pulse, okay, so then immediately you have to start CPR. Okay, start CPR with in sequence of chest compression, airway opening, and breathing. See, but this sequence is also most important. CAB. C, chest compression, A, airway opening, and B, breathing. Okay, before in previously this sequence was ABC, airway, breathing, and chest compression. But further studies tells that it is not effective that much. Okay, chest compression was lastly, so it is delaying this function of the heart. So that's why this sequence is changed from ABC to CAB. Okay, so now you have to remember this sequence CAB. Okay, starting with chest compression, then airway opening, and then breathing. Okay, so now we'll see about the main step, final step of BLS, that is beginning of CPR. Chest compression, airway opening, and breathing. So cardiopulmonary resuscitation, that is CPR, is the final step of BLS, final one. Okay, so it is consist of three techniques, as I told. Okay, in sequence: chest compression, airway opening, and breathing. So begin cycles of 30 chest compression and 2 breaths. 30 chest compression you have to give, and then 2 breaths. Then again 30 compression, then again 2 breaths. Like that you have to finish. Okay, almost 5 cycles are required. Okay, required means after 5 cycles of this chest compression and the CPR, you have to again check the pulse. Okay, to begin cycle of 30 chest compression and 2 breaths. Okay, so high quality CPR improves a victim's chances of survival. High quality CPR. Okay, so now we will discuss what are the characteristics of high quality CPR. Okay, I said that is chest compression, airway opening, and breathing. But how to give chest compression, how to open the airway, and how to give breathing. Okay, so one by one we will discuss. I will teach you. So that is first sequence, that is first thing, that is about chest compression technique. Okay, so these are the whatever I am going to tell you, these are the characteristics of high quality CPR. So high quality CPR. So in that chest compression technique, so first of all, position yourself at the victim side. Okay, you can see on the photo. So victim will be lying on the firm flat surface. Okay, so you have to take place on the side of the victim. Okay, so position yourself at the victim side. Okay, and make sure the victim is lying face up on firm and flat surface. Okay, so patient should not lie on his abdomen. Okay, patient should lie on his back. Okay, that means face up will be there, face up position will be there. Okay, so make sure the patient, that is the victim, is lying face up on a firm and flat surface. If the victim is lying face down, if patient for example fell down and it is on lying down, okay, so roll him carefully. Okay, you have to carefully roll him into face up position. And if you suspect any spine injury, okay, if you suspect any head or neck injury into patient, so try to keep the head, neck, and torso in one line. Okay, whenever you are turning, you are rolling the patient. Okay, that time you have to take precaution for this. You have to keep the head, neck, and torso. That means you have to neck, head, and trunk. You have to make in one line, and then you have to roll the victim. Okay, so this is the most important thing. Patient is on the firm flat surface, and if he is not in face up position, so you have to carefully roll him and make him in face up position. Now what you have to do, put the heel of one hand. Okay, you can see in the photo. Okay, so put the heel of one hand on the center of the victim's chest. Center of the victim chest, that means you have to place your hand on the lower half of the sternum. Okay, sternum, breastbone is here, sternum, so you have to place your one hand on the lower half of the sternum. Okay, now next hand. Okay, so put the heel of your other hand. One hand you have placed on the victim side, that is on the center of the chest, where so lower half of the sternum. Now other hand. Okay, so put heel of the other hand on the top of the first hand. This is the first hand, that is top, and this one is second hand you are putting. Okay, in this way. Okay, in this way you have to put your you have to place your hand on the victim's center of the chest at the level of lower half of the sternum. Now you are putting this, but what about your upper extremity? What about your upper extremity? So your shoulder, elbow, wrist. shoulder, elbow, wrist. Okay, it should be straightened. Okay, your arms will be straightened only. Your arms should be straightened. Okay, to straighten your arms and position your shoulders directly over your hands. Okay, simply that means you are taking kneeling position side of the patient. Okay, patient is on firm flat surface and you are side of the patient and you are putting your both the hands on the victim's center of chest, that means lower half of the sternum. Okay, now you have to keep in mind, you have to remember this thing, this shoulder, elbow and wrist both will be vertical. This thing should be in vertical position. Okay, so from shoulder to wrist force comes to hand only. Okay, so this you have to keep in mind. So straighten your arms and position your shoulder directly over the hands. Okay, force from shoulder, elbow and wrist comes to the hand only. So now we are going to start compression. So how will you do? So for this, one more thing, that is push hard and fast. Okay, whenever you are giving chest compression, that means you are pushing inside, your hand are pushing the chest inside. Okay, so you have to push hard and fast. So for that you have to press down at least 5 centimeter. You have to press down into the chest at least 5 centimeter, that means 2 inches. Okay, at least 5 centimeter with each compression. For example, you are giving one compression. Okay, so from this is chest, area of chest, and your hand is there here. Okay, and this is your chest, thoracic cavity, for example, thorax inside. Okay, so you have to place this thing. This thing will be 5 centimeter. Okay, distance from one hand to second hand. I'm giving one example. I'm showing one example. Okay, you have put here your head. Okay, so and this one, so this distance should be there. Okay, 5 centimeter down you have to press. Okay, so press down at least 5 centimeter with each compression. First compression, that means 5 centimeter. Again it will go up, it should come up. Okay, again second compression, so then also it will go for 5 centimeter. So in this way you have to press down at least 5 centimeter with each compression. For all compression you have to press down 5 centimeter, no less than 5 centimeter, no more than 5 centimeter. Okay, for each compression make sure you push straight down on the victim's breastbone. This is also most important thing. Whenever you are pressing down, it should be go straight, vertically. It should go down, it should not obliquely, it should not be going obliquely. Okay, so it is going inside down only. So this is for chest. For each chest compression make sure you push straight down on the victim's breastbone. Now deliver compressions in a smooth fashion at the rate of at least 100 compression per minute. Okay, your speed, whenever you are compressing, that speed should be in this way: 100 chest compression within 1 minute. Okay, in this speed you have to compress the chest. Now further, so at the end of each compression, for example, you gave chest compression. Okay, and now this is end of chest compression. Okay, so now at the end of chest compression make sure you are allowing the chest to rise. Okay, you are allowing the chest to rise. Okay, so at the end of each compression make sure you allow the chest to recoil. That means chest should be re-expand. You are compressing down, so after at the end of this compression it should come up, this should come up. Okay, that means chest will compress, then it will come right, it will going to rise, then again compress, then rise, compress, rise, compress, rise. This manner should be there, this manner should be maintained. Okay, so what is the role of this thing? Okay, so at the each compression make sure you allow the chest to recoil, that means re-expand. Okay, to recoil completely. Chest recoil allows blood to flow into the heart, and it is necessary for chest compression to create blood flow. Okay, what is the importance of this chest recoil? Okay, see, you are giving chest compression. Okay, now chest compression, which is whatever the effect of this chest compression will this effect will result in circulation of blood, starting of circulation of blood. Okay, so that's why we have to make sure to we have to allow the chest to recoil. Okay, so this is the main thing. Okay, so chest recoil allows blood to flow into the heart, and it is necessary for chest compression to create blood flow. Okay, incomplete chest recoil, if you are not allowing chest recoil, if you are giving chest compression and you are not allowing to chest to re-expand, then what will happen? So it will reduce the blood flow, it will reduce the blood flow which is created by your chest compression. Okay, you have given chest compression, and because of this chest compression, whatever blood flow is created, it will be reduced when, if you will not allow complete chest recoil. Okay, so complete chest recoil is must. Okay, so incomplete chest recoil is harmful because it reduces the blood flow created by chest compression. Okay, so chest compression and chest recoil. Chest compression, that means chest is going inside down. Okay, and it is relaxing, so both time will be same, both time should be equal. Compressing time and relaxing time both will be equal, it should be equal. Okay, and one more thing, that is you have to minimize interruptions. You have to minimize interruptions. What is meaning? That means you are starting from chest compression. Okay, you are doing this thing, so it should be in proper manner, it should be in smooth fashion. Okay, so there should not be any interruptions or anything. Okay, so you have to minimize the interruptions. Okay, so these are the main characteristics for the giving chest compression technique. Now after chest compression, you are going to give breathing. Okay, so for providing breathing, first of all you have to do one thing, that is you have to open the airway. Why? See, because of cardiac arrest, because of arrest of heart, okay, there is a patient may be unresponsive, patient may get unconsciousness. Okay, so patient is unconscious, victim is unconscious. So in this state, patient's airway will be obstructed. Patient's airway will be obstructed because of tongue. Tongue is going to obstruct the airway. Okay, so for this reason, first, before giving the breathing, you have to open the airway of the victim. Okay, so opening the airway for breathing. Okay, so for that, two methods are there. Okay, two methods are there for opening the airway to provide breath. First one, that is most commonly used, usually this is only the method to use, that is head tilt and chin lift. Head tilt and chin lift. Okay, so what is happening in this head tilt and chin lift? Okay, so for this reason, for in this, place one hand on the victim's forehead. You can place one hand over here. Okay, on forehead, and you have to push with your hand. Okay, with your palm, you have to push the head backside. Okay, patient is in supine line position, face up position. Okay, so you have to place one hand on the head and you have to push it back. Okay, that means head will tilt on that side, your side. Okay, so the head will tilt. Now with the other hand, okay, you have to use fingers of other hand. Okay, and you have to place this finger under the bony part of this lower jaw. Okay, that means here at the chin you can place your fingers. Okay, and with these fingers you have to tilt the chin, you have to tilt the chin. Okay, so this is the position for the opening of airway. Okay, that is head tilt, chin lift. You have to place your one hand on the forehead. Okay, and with this hand you have to push the hand backside, and with the use of fingers of other hand, you have to place this at the bony part of lower jaw. That means you can place here chin. Okay, and you have to take it up. Okay, that means you have to tilt, you have to lift. So head tilt, and this one is going to lift. Okay, so this is the position for the opening of airway, head tilt and chin lift. Okay, so this is the one method. Now next one is there, it is mainly used, it is only used when there is a suspected spine injury. When there is suspected spine injury, that time jaw thrust is used. Jaw thrust. Okay, so what is jaw thrust? Okay, so in jaw thrust you have to you have to place, okay, the both the hand on the side of the patient's head. Okay, victim's head. Okay, place one hand on the each side of the victim's head, and your elbow should be raised on the firm flat surface. whichever surface is there in on which person victim is lying, on that surface you have to place your elbow, and your hand should be on the head of the victim. Okay, so place your fingers under the angles of victim's lower jaw. Here your fingers should be here. In this you can see in the photo. Okay, place your fingers under the angles of the victim's lower jaw and lift with both hands. You have to lift. Okay, you have to lift with both hands and displacing the jaw forward. Okay, this is the placement for the jaw thrust. If the lips close, okay, if the lips close, push the lower lip with your thumb to open the lips. Okay, that means whenever you are doing this, okay, the lips should not be closed, tight close should not be there. Okay, so you have to open the lower lip with your thumb. Okay, so this was the second method, that is jaw thrust. First one, that is head tilt, chin lift. Okay, mostly this is the method we are using for the opening airway, that is head tilt and chin lift. Okay, so these are the two methods for opening the airway. Now third method for CPR, that is giving breaths. Okay, we are going to we are going to give breaths, okay, artificially. So for that, three methods are there. Okay, first one, that is mouth to mouth breaths. Second one, that is mouth to mask breath. And third one, that is using the bag mask. Okay, bag mask is also one device to provide the artificial breathing. Okay, so whenever you are giving breath, that time you also you have to prevent excessive ventilation. You have to avoid excessive ventilation. See, patient is not having breathing. Okay, we are providing breathing, so it doesn't mean we are providing more breathing. Okay, we have to we have to avoid excessive ventilation. Okay, so mouth to mouth breathing, mouth to mask breathing, and third one, that is using bag mask. Okay, so first of all, that is mouth to mouth breathing. Okay, now you know, whenever you are giving mouth to mouth breathing, that time person who is giving breathing, he will be side of the victim. Okay, near to his head. Now he has to seal his lips to the patient's victim's lips. Okay, and whenever he gives the breathing, that time no need to take deep breath, because see, whenever we are breathing normally, it contain, okay, and we are expiring, so this expiring air contains 70 percentage of oxygen. 17 percentage of oxygen. Okay, so this is enough for the victim. This is enough for the requirement of victim. Okay, so for giving mouth to mouth breathing, there is no necessary, this is not necessary to take deep breath. Okay, no deep breathing will be there. Normal breathing will be there, and you have to give the breath by sealing to the victim's lip, and you have to give. Now you have to what you have to observe with this. One breath you give, okay, then one breath you give, then you have to observe that time of rising of chest. Rising of chest should be there when you give, when you apply, when you deliver the breath. First breath you give, then you have to observe the chest rising. Chest rising should be there. If it is not there, that means you have not given effective breathing. If it is not there, that means you have not given effective breathing. So chest rising should be there whenever you give breath. Okay, so two breaths you have to give. 30 chest compression you give, then two breaths, then again 30 compression, like that. Okay, so this is the one method, that is mouth to mouth breath. Now second method, that is mouth to mask breath, which is given in photo. You can see in the photo. Okay, so mask will be there. Okay, mask, this is same as mouth to mouth breath, but here one barrier is there. Okay, between the victim and the healthcare provider, between these two, one barrier is there, that is mask. That is mask. Okay, that means that mask will be there between these two. Okay, so you have to blow air into that mask. Okay, and from that mask the air will go to the breath will go to the victim. Okay, so this is also one of the method to giving the breath. Now third one, that is using bag mask. Using mask ventilation. Okay, so mainly this is used in hospitals. Okay, because this bag mask, that is embu bag. Okay, embu bag, that is artificial manual breathing unit. Okay, so this is the bag, this will be available in hospital. Okay, so this is mainly used in hospitals. Okay, so whenever you are using this bag mask, so that time yours. Okay, so that time position yourself above the victim's head. Victim is lying down, okay, on the flat surface. So you have to place, you have to take position here, head of that victim. So you have to take position above the victim's head. Okay, and you have to place that bag, okay, that bag mask. You are putting this mask over here around the mouth, okay, around the lips. You are putting, okay. So you are putting, and this bag will be bag will be with you here. Okay, so here one more thing you have to see, you have to observe for this, that is about the mask, how to place mask even in that barrier, that is mouth to mask breathing, and here for back mask ventilation. This is also most important, how you are placing the mask. Okay, how you are placing mask. So for, see, simply you have seen, if mask, so it will be in this shape, for example this, but upper part and lower part will be narrow and elongated small, somewhat. Okay, so that elongated portion will come in the bridge of nose. Okay, in this way you have to place. Okay, this portion will come to the bridge of the nose. Okay, so you can correct your position of mask according to bridge of the nose. Okay, so it should be straight with the at the level of the bridge of the nose. Okay, so you can place in this way that mask. And for using bag mask, one more thing, your hand placement, how it will be, which kind of hand placement will be there. Okay, so for this, one method is there, that is EC clamp technique. EC clamp technique, E and C. Okay, your hand is there. Okay, placing you are placing hand to seal this mask. Okay, so you have to place in this way. So simply I am showing. Okay, this is making C, and these three fingers are making E. Okay, so mask is there. Okay, here you are putting, you can see in the photo. Okay, mask is placed on the mouth. Okay, so with index finger and thumb, with the help of index finger and thumb, you are making C. Okay, so what is the role of these two, index finger and thumb? What will do, so it will stabilize, stabilize, and it will seal the edges of that mask to the mouth. Okay, edge of the mask will be stabilized, will be sealed with the mouth with the help of these two. You are making this C, so it will help to seal this thing. Okay, so this is the role of this C, and these three fingers are making E, which will stabilize this thing. This will maintain the this chin lifting. Okay, maintaining the chin lifting. Okay, so this position will be this hand placement should be there. Okay, so it will be easy to you for giving breaths as well as to maintaining opening airway. Okay, so this should be there. This correct position, correct placement of hand should be there for giving bag mask ventilation. And here also, whenever you are giving breathe, how to give, so you have to squeeze, you have to squeeze that bag. Okay, whenever you will squeeze the bag, victim will get air. Okay, victim will get breathe. And with this you have to observe rising of chest. Okay, rising of chest should be there. Okay, rising of chest, then you have to relax this bag. Again, whenever rising chest rising, then it will relax. Then again you have to squeeze the back. Okay, in this way you have to give two breaths. Okay, so this was about the chest compression, how to give chest compression, and how to open the airway, and how to give artificial breathing. Now already you have called the emergency response system. Okay, if if arrives before it arrives, before that you have to perform this thing. Okay, if it arrives, then they will handle this thing. But if before they are arriving, you have to perform this thing. Okay, now if they arrives, okay, so there is the function of the defibrillation. Okay, there is the role of defibrillation, that is AED. What is AED? So it is automated external defibrillator. It is automated external defibrillator. Okay, it is one device. Okay, it is computerized device. Okay, it can identify cardiac rhythms. Okay, there is cardiac arrest. Okay, cardiac is stopping beating, and after giving chest compression and all, what are the function is coming regaining, what is the function we are gaining into heart. Okay, so this device will identify cardiac rhythms, and it will tell this AED, this automatic external defibrillator tell will tell us whether shock is required or not. Okay, so cardiac rhythms that need a shock. Okay, it will identify cardiac rhythms that need a shock, and it can then deliver the shock. Okay, you have seen in movies, in serials, you have seen many times. I think you have seen already. Okay, in hospital, whenever person is going to die, okay, person is dying, okay, that time they are giving shock. Okay, they are putting electrodes, okay, on the chest region, and they are giving shock. Okay, so that is defibrillation. That is for defibrillation. Okay, so here AED is giving for the defibrillation only. It is used for defibrillation. Okay, so now how to use defibrillation, that means how to use AED, how will you use this AED machine. Okay, so it is simple equipment, it is simple and easy to operate. Okay, so for that you have to place the victim is lying, you have to place at the victim side. Now you have to power on the AED machine. You have to power on the AED machine. Okay, there will be one switch that you have on, should be there, or on button will be there. You have to press that button. Okay, power on the machine, and then attach the AED pads to the victim's chest. Okay, two electrodes or two pads will be there. Okay, so one electrode or one pad you have to place right side, but where you have to directly place below the clavicle, below the collarbone. You have to place the first one electrode right side, below the clavicle, and second one it will be placed on the left side, just below the nipple and towards the axilla, just below the nipple and towards the axilla. I know its location, its placement should be towards the axilla, your armpit. Okay, so attach the AED pads to the victim's chest. Place one AED pad on the victim's upper right chest. That means I said just below the clavicle. Okay, directly below the collarbone, that is clavicle. And place the other pad to the side of the left nipple with the top edge of the pad a few centimeters below the armpit. Okay, that means the left nipple and armpit. So on that side you have to place another pad. Okay, so this is the placement for the electrode or the pad. Now attach the AED connecting cable to the AED box. Okay, and then this is the placement. You have prepared all the things for giving defibrillation, for giving the shock. Okay, now one more thing. Whenever you are giving shock, see here you don't have to do anything. No need to do anything, because this machine, this equipment will tell everything, will do everything. It will automatically identify the rhythm which is required shock. Okay, if shock is not advisable, that time it will showcase that shock is not advisable. Okay, so that time no need of shock. Again we have to start CPR. Again we have to start chest compression. Okay, if rhythm is shockable, that means shock is advisable, is required that time. Okay, so whenever you are going to give shock, make sure no one should touch to that victim. No one should touch that victim, even the person who is giving, who is delivering the shock. Okay, the connection between that AED and victim, only that connection will be there. No one surrounding this victim should touch that victim. Okay, so this is the most important thing. No one should touch the victim, not even the healthcare provider, rescue, who is giving who is delivering the shock. Okay, so no one should touch. Okay, so that's why whenever, even hospitals also, if you see, whenever they are giving shock, okay, for example, I am here, I am going to give the shock the person. Okay, and surrounding this victim, 2 3 people are there. Okay, so I will tell them not to touch. All are clear, all clear. I will ask all clear. If they respond all clear, yes, be clear, all clear, then also I have to say I also clear, and then all clear. After that only I can press the button shock. Okay, then only I can press the button shock. Okay, so this thing is most important. No one should touch whenever giving delivery of shock. Okay, whenever we are going to give shock, that time no one should touch the victim. This is the most important thing. You can see in the photo, one first button will be there, on should be there. Press one button, on button to uh, to start the equipment, and second box, second screen is there, which will show you whether shock is required or not. And third one, that is for the giving shock. Okay, so by directly pressing that third button, automatically shock will deliver to the person. Okay, now what about in this? Okay, now what will you do if no shock is needed? If no shock needed, make as I said, that equipment will tell you it is needed or not, shock is needed or not. Okay, if no shock is needed, and after any shock, after giving any shock, you have to immediately resume CPR. Okay, it doesn't mean that you have given shock and then don't do anything. After giving one shock, you have to immediately resume CPR. Okay, you have to continue your CPR, that is 30 count chest compression and 2 breathe. Okay, like that. Okay, so if no shock is needed, and after any shock of shock delivery, immediately resume CPR, starting with chest compression. Okay, now in that AED machine, ventricular fibrillation and asystole, ventricular fibrillation, asystole, these are the electrical activities will be shown into the that equipment. Okay, so you can see from that, and you can see if there is ventricular fibrillation. Okay, it will show machine will equipment will show if there is ventricular fibrillation, that means it is saying that shock is needed. Okay, asystole means simply there will be one line, that means shock is not needed. Okay, shock is not needed, again you have to start CPR. Okay, so this and one more thing, that is PEA, pulseless electrical activity, pulseless electrical activity. Okay, so in this case also there is no shock is admissible. Okay, so AED will tell whether shock is required or not. Okay, so after 5 cycles of CPR, or about 2 minutes of CPR. Okay, see, we have seen about the CPR in three techniques are there in CPR: chest compression, opening airway, and giving breaths. Okay, these are the three things in CPR. Okay, keep in mind: chest compression, opening airway, and giving breathing. Okay, so in this way, I explain you about chest compression, about opening airway, and how to give breathing. Okay, these are the three methods. Okay, three techniques. So when to use which method? So this is the sequence CAB. You have to go through this sequence only. You have to go through this sequence only, starting with chest compression. Okay. So after 5 cycles of CPR, after 5 cycles means what? One cycle means you are giving 30 chest compression and then 2 breaths. That is one cycle. Okay. Then again you are giving chest compression and 2 breaths. That is second. Then third. Okay, so likewise, whenever you are completing 5 cycles, okay, 5 cycles, or about 2 minutes of CPR, you have to check again that AED. Okay, the AED will prompt you to analyze rhythm. You have to check in the AED rhythm. Okay, it is shockable or not. If it is not shockable, if it is not shock is not admissible, immediately restart CPR. Okay, beginning with chest compression. Okay, so this was about the defibrillation. Okay, defibrillation will be provided will be done by the AED machine, automated external defibrillator. Okay, so this was the sequence. Almost we have completed CPR. Okay, cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Okay, first of all, again I will revise how to do. Simply, one person is getting cardiac arrest. Okay, and you are asking, you are observing person is fighting for breath. Okay, and suddenly he is falling. Okay, you are observing, and you have to you are observing, that means you have to call the ambulance. Okay, once you can ask by tapping on shoulder, are you okay, are you all right? If he is not responding, okay, victim is unresponsive, so immediately you have to call for the emergency response system. and you have to check the pulse. Okay, carotid pulse you have to check. Okay, I said how to check. Okay, you have to check for at least 5 seconds, but no more than 10 seconds. At least 5 seconds, but no more than 10 seconds. Okay, if you are feeling, then you can go for the breathing. You can see the breath. Okay, breathing is not properly, but feeling, that means you have to wait. You have to wait for the victim's response. Okay, again you have to check. If he is not responding, then you have to, that means pulsation is not palpable, there is no pulse, then you have to start with chest compression. Okay, as I said about assessment and sensitivity, all the things you have to do together, and you have to start CPR in the sequence of CAB. Okay, CPR you are going to start, that means you will place your hand as I said. Okay, and you will start CPR. Okay, 30 compression will be there, then you have to give breathe, to breathe, then again 30 compression, then again 2 breaths. Okay, like this you have to complete 5 cycles. You have to complete 5 cycles of CPR, 5 cycles. Okay, and then after completing 5 cycles, or after 2 minutes, you have to again check the pulse. Okay, you have to again check the pulse, and if again it is not there, again you have to start this thing. Okay, if you are in hospital, for example in hospital, and you know in hospital for cardiac arrest, one code is there, blue code. There is blue code for cardiac arrest. Okay, so in hospital it will be easy. Okay, because in hospital you can call and you can shout for this blue code, all will arrive. Okay, all will arrive. Okay, so it will be easy. It will be initially this will be done. Okay, but this is when you are outside the hospital, out of hospital. Okay, when other places you are, and you are seeing one patient with cardiac arrest. Okay, so that time you have to call emergency response system, and you have to go through this sequence, that is chest compression, airway opening, and breathing, giving breath. Okay, so this was about CPR, chest compression, airway opening, and breathing. Okay, breath giving. Okay, so this is about BLS, that is basic life support. I said first aid for cardiac arrest. Okay, uh, how much time you will take for this giving. Okay, for this giving chest compression, and if you will delay, then it will further damage to the patient. Because see, uh, within the 4 to 6 minutes, within the 4 to 6 minutes of cardiac arrest, person's brain is going to damage. Person's brain starts damaging. Okay, so possible, if as early as possible you have to start CPR. Okay, you have to call for emergency response system, and you have to start CPR. Okay, so this was about basic life support, that means CPR, basic life support, or else you can say CPR. Okay, so now last more thing I want to tell you, that is about chain of survival. Chain of survival, this is most important. Okay, so this is the two chains are there. Okay, a patient is in hospital or outside the hospital for this. Okay, the first chain I will show you here. So that is IHCA, that means in hospital cardiac arrest. If person gets cardiac arrest in hospital, so what will be the sequence for the managing the victim. Okay, so here it is given. Okay, assess the person's victim is going to assess. Okay, then call for that. Okay, and then chest compression. Okay, and code team will arrive that time. Okay, whenever we will do this 3 step, at that time, within that time, code team will arrive. Okay, and they will handle this thing. Okay, now they will handle, now they will take the patient into the ICU. Okay, in ICU, and before they are taking patient in ICU, there will be a catheterization will be done. Okay, catheterization will be done, that means for heart function they will investigate. Okay, they will investigate for the heart function, and the patient, the victim, will be shifted to the ICU. Okay, ICU for the advanced cardiovascular support, for advanced cardiovascular support. Okay, so for advanced cardiovascular support, you can learn this thing in other thing, that is other courses there, that is advanced cardiovascular life support. Okay, so lastly after BLS, lastly comes, that is ACLS, advanced cardiovascular life support. Okay, so in hospital patient will get further management. Okay, that is intubation and all. Okay, mechanically patient will ventilated, mechanical breathing will be given to the patient, and further damage, whatever damage is there into the patient regarding brain and all, so it will be cured, it will be managed into the ICU. And one more chain of survival is given, that is out hospital cardiac arrest. Okay, so for that, first of all, you have to call, okay, emergency system, response system, you have to call for emergency response system, and initially immediately you have to start the CPR. Okay, and then once the ambulance comes, and they will take over the patient, and they will handle the patient, and patient will shifted to ICU. Okay, and their management will be done. Okay, so simply this was the basic life support, that is CPR. Okay, now you should know, I hope you should, my explanation is helpful for you, and I am ending now my this webinar. My topic is ended.
Madam, there are some of questions
Yes.
in the live section. I'll ask you one by one.
Okay.
There are in total 5 questions.
Okay.
First, the question we have is, what is the correct depth of chest compressions in an adult?
In adult, yes, this I told, chest compression depth. Okay, in adult, that is 5 centimeter. Okay, I said 5 centimeter, that means 2 inch. Okay, chest compression you are giving, there should be 5 centimeter for adult, and even in children also it is 5 centimeter. It is different for infant. It is different only for infant, that is about 3 centimeter or 1.5 inch. Okay, it is only different for the infant. Okay, so for adult, chest compression depth is 5 centimeter according to American Heart Association 2015 guidelines.
Okay, madam. Next up, we have another question. It is, a victim probably has neck injury. What is the correct way to open the airway?
Wait. Okay, again, yes.
Uh,
Question
a
again,
victim,
ask question again.
yes, madam. Yes, madam. A victim probably has neck injury. What is the correct way to open the airway?
Wait. Which injury?
Neck injury, madam.
Neck injury, yes. I said neck, if there is neck or head injury that is related to spine. Okay, if there is neck injury, that time you have to open the airway in jaw thrust method. Okay, jaw thrust. In that you have to place over here only, and you have to, with this finger, you have to hold this. Okay, you have to push. Okay, you have to push, and this you have to press like this only. You no need to take position that head tilt and chin lift. Okay, that time you this jaw thrust method will minimize the movement at the neck. Okay, it will minimize at movement at the neck. Okay, so jaw thrust is used for this purpose. For this reason, whenever there is neck injury, that time jaw thrust will be used for opening airway. Okay, in this way. Okay, in this way you will open the airway.
Okay. Next question is, how long should a
Okay.
pulse check last?
Pulse check should last maximum 10 seconds. Checking of pulse, right? Checking of pulse. You are asking about checking of pulse.
Yes, madam.
Checking of pulse. Yes, checking of pulse no more than 10 seconds. Minimum 5 seconds, for minimum for 5 seconds you have to check, but no more than 10 seconds. Means you have to check less than, you have to check for less than 10 seconds. Okay, you don't have to wait for more seconds. Okay, so minimum 5 seconds and maximum less than 10 seconds. No more than more than 10 seconds.
Okay. Next question we have is, where will you check for a pulse in an adult?
Yes. Again, sorry, I didn't able to.
Where will you check for a pulse in an adult?
Where? Okay, carotid pulsation is used. Carotid artery is used for checking pulsation in adult. Carotid pulse you have to check. Carotid artery pulsation you have to check for the adult.
Okay, madam. And next question we have is, can we give CPR to person who is drowning in water? If yes, then what is proper
Yes.
manner of giving CPR to that type of person or victim?
Okay, see, simply you say that is drowning. Okay, so for example, person is from person is sink down into the sea, for example. Okay, so we are taking him out of that. Okay, so first of all, you have to clean, you have to dry her surface. For example, for mainly for chest region. Okay, you have to dry. Okay, because it is water is there. Okay, so you have to dry, and then you have to same. You have to follow same sequence as I said. Okay, same sequence as I said. Okay, but one most important thing you have to remember in this case, whenever person is of drowning. Okay, so in that case, you have to keep in mind mostly for defibrillation. Okay, because whenever you are giving defibrillation, whenever you are giving shock, that time chest region should not be wet. Chest region should not be wet with water. Okay, so for drowning person, you have to take precaution for this thing. Otherwise, all the sequence will be same as the as in general I said. Understood or not?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Okay, okay, fine.
Now I would like to call Ria for the vote of thanks. Madam, you can switch off your video and audio.
Okay, 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 fine. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Shahid. Hello everyone, myself Priya Patel. I would like to thank our webinar speaker, Dr. Arpita Vaghela, our joint co-organizer, late SMT SD Patel Institute of Physiotherapy, Dharmaj, Principal in charge, Dr. Sneha Bhatia ma'am, for giving us an opportunity to make this webinar a successful event. Also thanks to our technical team and our audience, and special thanks to the Movement Expert Group for coordinating so well. Thank you so much.